So let it be written, so let it be done. This is Tabletop Terrors. My name is Tim, and I'm half of Tabletop Terrors. We're all about being more creative and also learning something new about D&D and other RPGs. Now, if this is your first time watching the channel, this is called Daily Damage. This is a vlog where I just literally live stream and walk on my lunch. So if you like more structured, edited, polished videos, you probably shouldn't start with this one. But if you do like this sort of thing, then stick around. Today, I'm gonna answer a question, but I'm also gonna talk about something that I think is really important. And I'm gonna talk about the important thing first. I'm gonna do it by asking you a question. What is more important on a car? The strength and stability of the engine, or the strength and stability of the transmission, or the strength and stability of the tires? What's more important? The engine, the transmission, or the tires? And if you could measure the importance between the two of those things, how could you compare? And here's what I'm getting at, okay? And this analogy, I won't drag it out. I'm gonna just jump right to it. I'm telling you, one of the most important things is to not compare yourself to other people. Because the tires, the transmission, the engine, these different parts of the vehicle all do totally different things. And if you are meant to be tires, if you are meant to have a certain function and a certain personality and a certain type, if you try to be an engine, you'll fail and you'll hate it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because don't let self-doubt, don't let the things that other people are doing, other people are saying, get in the way and hinder you from playing RPGs, writing RPGs, anything in your whole life. The point is, every part of a vehicle, tires, transmissions, engines, have a very specific function, just like every human being has a very specific function. And I say that because every day I think about the messages that we often get about people who tell me they're depressed, or people who tell me that they are not able to find happiness because they have anxiety. Anyway, I just wanted to start off with that important thing and say, don't measure yourself against others, because no two people are alike. They're not meant to be alike, and they shouldn't be alike. Anyway, now we're gonna talk about the number of ambulances and crazy fire trucks and things like that that drive by here are too high. Anyway, that is tires versus engines. If you're meant to move the car in a different way, don't move it trying to be an engine. Don't try to be a transmission. Be who you are, be what you are, and do that daily, because if you try to make a book that I'm making, you're gonna be unhappy and you're not gonna make the book that you should be making. And the world is gonna be that much less of a place because a book that you should be writing doesn't exist because you're trying to write the book that I should be writing. Anyway, one other thing you should know about this is it's a live stream and it is a chat. So I'm gonna go to the chat right now. Enoch, hello Tim, what's going on, man? The command tent, another nice day for a walk. It's actually gorgeous out here. I think it's 60 something degrees. It's beautiful. Josh Halls, hey man, your motivation motivates me. Good, it motivates me too. It's one of those things where I don't wait for inspiration to strike me. I strike inspiration. Sometimes you've got to pick yourself up by the britches and tell yourself what you're doing is awesome, because sometimes that's all it takes for it to be true. If I waited for everything I did to be good or right, I'd never do anything. And so, anyway, go out and do something awesome today. So, Digalicious, there are an unbelievable number of sirens in this live feed. Dude, right? He said, ha! Tim just said the same thing. Behind the screen says, hey, I'm on time-ish. Yes, you are. Lawrence Kentworthy says, hey, Tim, those are some wise words. Thanks, man. You know what? I'm talking to myself. That's the trick. I'm talking to myself. All right, Tim, keeping the pace. I am. In fact, I'm actually tuning in, and you're tuning in a little later than usual. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter one because I'm on my way back from my walk. I had some stuff I had to take care of with Absolute Tabletop First, I'm going to answer a question, and then I'm going to just talk a little bit about 2018 and what's going on and how I feel, just to kind of vent and to talk through it. So, the question came through our Facebook Messenger, and essentially it was, hey, I'm making a character. I'm making a D&D character. I've got all this stuff in front of me, right? I've got the stats figured out. How in-depth should I go with this character? Should I just go super hard in the paint, uncork a one-timer from center ice and just write the whole history? Or should I leave it blank, bare, and figure it out? My personal taste, my personal preference is to get a high-level concept similar to what you would understand of a character in a television show. What do I mean? Well, think of any ensemble cast show, and you can pretty clearly pick out the funny one or the tough guy. Now, those are cliches and tropes, but what I'll kind of do in my mind is get a very high-level snapshot of this character, and that's about as far as I go, aside from stats and maybe a couple of the tools that 5th edition provides, such as traits or flaws, bonds, ideals. I personally don't use all 4 of those things. I'll choose maybe one, because I feel that if you try to focus on all 4 at once, it can feel a little frenetic and schizophrenic. So maybe choose one hope, one goal, and that's about the skinny of it. That's about all I do. And the reason for that is because I play in games where I like to sort of narratively figure that out. And James and I have learned that he and I think differently. So when you're talking about creative writing and writers, it's often said that there are 2 kinds of creative writing. There are outliners, and then there are discovery writers. Discovery writers sit down and just start writing and say, the orb glowed a fiery green as it exploded in the sky, and you just start writing. You obviously can start with a concept, but you don't outline the thing. Outliners do the opposite. They sit and they say, okay, here's how I want it to end. This is kind of the middle-ish, etc. I would say the same is true about your character. Are you a discovery writer or are you an outliner? If you're an outliner, I would recommend that you write the outline for what you want your character to be, but don't write the story. And here's why. Most people, when they write a very detailed background, they'll often overdo it and have an adventurer's life worth of background before they start at level 1. That can be really challenging because it just doesn't make sense unless you write it that way on purpose, which is a totally different thing. So I would outline it. What do I mean? Well, if you started as a bard, what's your outline? What's your character arc in your mind? Now, it is so important to say that this can change. This can change game 1. You can say, I'm changing it. But your kind of big character arcs are, 1, you want to get particularly good at a certain kind of thing. 2, you want to maybe achieve a certain role or position, like you want to be the court musician for the king. That's a big thing. And the mistake that I hear is people say, I used to be the court musician for the king, but everyone was assassinated and I was the only one left. And I'm like, neighbor, you just described a campaign. Let that happen. But you can have that in mind and share it with your dungeon master. The discovery writer, or the discovery character, would be more, hey, I kind of have this bard. I want her to be roguish. And a good trick is to maybe even choose a character from fiction. And then mix this character plus sign character class. I kind of want to do like Han Solo the Bard. Boom, Han Solo the Bard. What does that look like to you? Comment below. Like, how do you make Han Solo the Bard? And just because it's a bard doesn't mean it can't have a Millennium Falcon. So that would be my answer. My answer is decide what you like, decide what your dungeon master likes, but err on the side of less rather than more, because it's very easy to overwrite and not leave yourself any space to fill in and grow. So that would be my answer. And then just about what's going on. Well, the truth is, absolute tabletop is growing. It's growing at an alarming rate. And so I'm in this weird middle ground. I have no plans on leaving my day job or anything like that. That's not what this is about. But meaning the thoughts and the decisions that we're having to make right now are just very different than the ones before. Before it was like, hey guys, what Google Doc do you want to fart on to try to make a book? Now it's, hey guys, what's the most cost-effective way to distribute our books to various stores? And it's like, what? Different world. So growth is kind of catching up with us, and it's good, it's healthy, but it's also different for us. And so it's just another reminder that you can be super adept at one thing, but still have to grow in another area. And that's what we're working through right now, is just figuring out, what does 2018 look like? What does distribution look like? What do our next books look like when there's only 4 of us? What do you focus on, you know? So that's what we're kind of doing, and that's what we're facing. I wouldn't say it's even a struggle. I think that it's something that's really good and we're growing. But let's see, let's go back to the chat here. Sneaky Panda says, hopefully 2018 isn't as garbage as 2017 was. Well, I'm really sorry that 2017 was garbage for you. That's a bummer. And there's nothing like having a year where you're just like, man, that year was, because that's a big jump, you know? So for you, I hope that 2018 is much better. For me, 2017 was actually a really good year. And so that's just the way life goes too, right? But I hope that your 2018 supersedes your 2017 by an indescribable amount. Oh, I just poked myself with a stick. Oh, that hurt a lot. Jose Soto, what's up, everyone? What's going on, man? Logos Sarsgaard says, sup, Jose? Everybody say sup, Jose. Quad Gaming says, at work and bosses are here. Gonna have to catch this video later. Yeah, man, I never want you to steal from your employer to watch my dumb rear end walking down a busy highway. But thanks for tuning in. Behind the Screen says, I'm definitely an outline writer. Perfect. And that's one of those things where that mentality will likely follow you in the other things that you do, and recognizing that will make it a lot easier for you, you know? So the way that James and I'm a discovery all the way. He's an outliner. I've also heard them called architects and gardeners. You know, gardeners kind of grow and architects plan and build. So the mentality and understanding how your brain works and understanding what makes you happy and how you function, applying that to game design, even role playing, all those kinds of things, it makes it realistic to adopt advice. Because I could tell you all day, like, hey, do it this way. But I'm a gardener or a discovery writer. So if I'm all discovery, 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 and you're an architect, you will be pulling your hair out because none of what I'm telling you is working for you. And it's not that I'm wrong, it's that for my style, this is working. And that's why it's key to just start to think about it. Let's see here. Logo Sarsgars. The filmmaker David Lynch has some amazing things to say about discovery writing. That it's like tuning a puzzle over a piece at a time. Oh, turning a puzzle over a piece at a time. Sorry, the glare. Though I'm probably butchering the quote. I know, and I believe that. And I think to use that same sort of analogy, an architect or an outliner needs to see the corners, or they need to see the rough of the picture before they start building the puzzle. They need to look at the box. The Command Tent says, Solo the Bard, always telling about the ship that got away. Each time he tells it, the ship gets bigger. Exactly. Behind the Screen. That is awesome. It is awesome. See, Intelligent Artisan. I know I'm late. It's kind of my fault. I started late, and it's only going to be about half the time as it normally is, but let's see here. So, anyway, I just love hanging out with you guys and girls. And, you know, it just kind of goes to show, because we're certainly not the biggest YouTube channel, and we're certainly not the biggest publisher, but I'm really happy, I'm content. Because I'd rather have the amount of people that we have and have an awesome conversation than have a ton. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to reach more people, but I'm saying I've learned to be content with what I have. And that sort of stirred the beginning sentiment of, don't try to be wheels if you're an engine. Don't try to be a transmission if you're an engine. Because your job, your function, and what you're really good at is going to make you happy. You know, I've heard it said that if you find something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's, I think, one of the keys to finding that pathway, is figuring out the kind of person you are. And it can be tough, because if you're looking at someone and you're like, man, I want to be just like you, but you're not built to be just like them, you're built to be equal but different, then you're going to kill yourself trying to be something that is just not going to make you happy. And so that's why if you have an idea for a game, you know, an RPG or a character, and you haven't seen anything like it, there's a chance it's stupid. There's a chance it's really dumb, and then there's a reason why it doesn't exist. But there is an equal chance that it's because no one has been brave enough to take the idea that only you could have and put it down and actually execute it. And you just gotta remember that. You just gotta, you know? And so, anyway, you guys are killer. Let's go back and check the chat, you know what I'm saying? Oh, no more comments. So, if you missed yesterday, we prepped for a game. And in prepping for that game, I ran it last night. The players did what players do, which is they excellently surprised me. They did something that I wasn't expecting. They started interacting with the giant hawks we were talking about. So we improv. We came up with something on the fly, and that is the key. Okay, let me give you a huge piece of advice for game mastering. If I would have said, and when the players attack the hawks, that's railroading and that's bad. That's why I just place pieces on the board and then go, okay, give motives, give general kind of conflict, and then let the players go. And they did, and they always will, and they'll always surprise you, and that's the key. All right, so. Hey, Taking 20 says, hey, sexy, what I miss. This is Kody from Taking 20. If you're not subscribed to Taking 20, you have to be, because Kody has a very unique voice. Listen, if I get hit by a car on the stream, tell my family I love them. But Kody has a really unique voice, and I love watching his videos because he just is a different player than me. And so what I can do from that is glean and say, this guy has a really good idea. He actually just did a really cool video about the players having fortresses and bases. And I disagreed with him on a few points. But then after thinking about it, I was like, man, he's right. He's right. And the players are going to remember the awesome fortress and the cool, well, I don't want to spoil the video. Go over to Taking 20 and check out Kody's video, any of them. He does Kill Your Party With, and he does various monsters. You're probably all sub to him anyway, but if you're not, make sure to sub to him. But you know, that just kind of goes back to the example of, I started thinking and I'm like, how do I be like these other YouTubers? And there's some energy to that and there's some benefit to that, but there's another benefit of saying, no, you gotta do what you feel is right. And if we stay at the sub count we're at and have these amazing conversations every day, I have learned that that's more important to me than an ambiguous number. I'd rather interact with real people and have a conversation. And see, and the beauty of guys like Taking 20 and WebDM are, they have learned to take what I'm doing and scale it. And that's what you can learn. You can learn those good habits and those things that help to grow in a meaningful way. So anyway, let's see here. Got some time for a few more. Josh Rivera, howdy Tim, what's going on? The command tent says, brainstorming an NPC using a roll table to help enrolled uses or exclamations when talking. Oh, basically you're looking for phrases. All right, if you're looking for things that an NPC can say, go to one of the many web pages on the internet that has quotes from a character. I'm not saying go pull a brainy quote so that your NPCs all sound like Einstein or Mary Shelley. That's not what I mean. Go to, and it's mostly like IMDb, but they'll have these quotes. And like, so for Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a great example. Just pull a bunch of Xander quotes and just copy and paste them. And then throw them in a Word doc or a Google Doc, scroll, you know, highlight them all and hit the, the number button. And now you've got 20 things to say. That way, all of the characters' thoughts and ideas are in the same vein. You don't sound like some kind of schizophrenic who's talking about the snowflake in the jaw, and then later you're like, man, I sure do love beef. So, let's see here. Kody says, OMG, he died. Enough, I'm stopping by to hear you, man. Behind the Screen says, check out Taking 20, Kill Your Party With series. It's great. It really is. I got addicted with Kill Your Party With Orcs, and it only grew from there. Oh, and his Starfinder videos. Dude, Kody, you had, I don't know if you're still here, but you had like the only Starfinder videos on YouTube when the thing came out. It was absolutely smashing. And Kody says, thanks, buddy. Of course, man. Heavenly Hit Points. What is a good story for an open world D&D game with only one player? I'm preparing to be a DM, and I can't make a story as good as I normally do. Writer's block. I'm going to give you a tip. There's a wiki for everything, okay? And one of the most important things for dungeon masters, not RPG publishers, but dungeon masters, is it's totally okay to steal. It's what the hobby is based on. So, find a single player game that has a killer story mode and lift all of the elements from it. Go to the wiki for Dishonored or The Witcher, any of those things. Lift the whole concept, whole cloth, and drop it right into your world. Now, don't expect the player to play your version of that game point by point. It's the world, it's the concept, but that is what I would recommend. Whole cloth. Final question. Kody says, you got any creative monsters you're cooking up in that big brain of yours? I loved coin mites. Stupid good monster. Thanks, man. So, we actually, I'm trying to think if there are any monsters that we've been really working on. Okay, so this is a rough, wet cement, okay? But the idea is, it is a brutal lich. We often think of liches as these, rightfully so, these mages, these robed, gaunt individuals. But what if there was a lich that was just brawny and brutal? And he's still, you know, in undeath, but he's found a way to persist in his body. So you have this lich with these brutal, like, you know who you think? I want you to think, and this is just the perfect, is Dan Jurgens' drawings from DC Comics of Doomsday. That is the lich. It's Doomsday, and he's just this huge brutal thing with these bone protrusions. He's still brilliant, but the key is the players are expecting some mage kind of lich, and that's fine, but guess what? You ever watch, like, Kitchen Impossible? A chef can be buff. A lich can be jacked. And I think having that lich who has a propensity for physical combat, who's also really good with spells, would be crazy. And so just calling that something, I think I haven't quite nailed down a name for it yet, but that's what's been going on in the cooker, is just a brutal Doomsday lich. So I hope that helps. Behind the Screen says, use some random roll tables, dude. It can be super fun, and they just let the player take it where they may. Yeah, random elements in games, it's one of my favorite part of D&D and the whole process. Oh, and Heavenly Hit Point says, oh, my player has never played Skyrim. Perfect, thanks. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. I got to stop sweating before I go back into the office here. And anyway, I love you guys. And as always, you know, we mean it. May you mend the first break. May you kill the first snake. And may you conquer everything you undertake. I will see you later on, and until next time. And thanks for stopping by, everybody, especially you, Kody. But until next time, hey, may your dice roll high.